So it's 1619. You're Sir Walter Raleigh, and you've been busted because you're a criminal. You've been sentenced to death by the King of England. You're not ready to go out like that, though, because, you know, you're a winner. You're Sir Walter Raleigh. So you're going to take off and run to the colonies, and you're going to make a name for yourself by doing, you know, heroic stuff, saving people and whatnot, and make it so they don't really want to execute you. The thing is, the colonies aren't on Earth. They're not in the Americas, they're on Mars. And when you get there, we're in a full-scale war between the Spaniards and their Martian Overlords and ourselves. So, seems like a perfect setup to make your name by being heroic and stuff like that. So you're going to fly over to the colony of Roanoke, which was lost. Everybody disappeared, just like it did, you know, and when it was in the Americas and everything. And you're going to use that as your setting to save as many people as you can. Maybe you'll save Virginia Dare, and maybe that'll help you out. You know, so yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Casey, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Normally I'd agree, but in this game, Jamestown, Legend of the Lost Colony, that's the setting of this story, and it actually works out pretty well. So when you get there to Roanoke, you're going to be flying about in your little steampunk spaceship, and the game turns into your typical shoot 'em up, also known as a shmup. I used to play these games a lot back in the day on, you know, Super Nintendo and things like that. It's a genre, you know, that I've never been really good at, but it's one I've always enjoyed. So seeing this setup, to me, it struck me as, you know, something completely aping John Carter of Mars, which, you know, the setting, you're fighting on Mars and stuff like that. And when you get into the games, you look in the graphics, which I'll show you here in a second, it really kind of fits that. So we're going to go ahead and jump in here. As shoot 'em ups go, they're very difficult. They're very frustrating a lot of times. A lot of times they're known as bullet hell. Jamestown eases you into it, and it works really well, especially for me, who gets frustrated with that stuff fairly easily. So I think it's a very approachable game to start out with, which is nice. So we start out, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different levels that you can play through. It's a fairly short game, and each of your levels are pretty manageable time-wise. They're not too long. And we're going to start out with the normal difficulty here and jump in. This game is multiplayer, but I believe it is local multiplayer only. You can play up to 4 people at a time on here. I have not tried it co-op though, but it's, you know, it's supposed to be a pretty big selling factor. But that is just not to say that it's not fun by yourself. I've had quite a bit of fun with this. So we're gonna go ahead and hold our key there. We're gonna get ready and jump in, and we're good to go. This works great with the 360 controller. So you get 4 different ships you can unlock. You only start out with the beam ship at first, and then there's these other ships that you unlock as you do unlock more experience and stuff like that, and they work out pretty good. The bomber, I do not like. It kind of sucks. The gunner's okay, and beam is pretty straightforward. That's your newbie ship. Charge works out really good. So we'll go in there with the charge ship. As shooters go, you're top down, you're scrolling, and you're just going to be flying back and forth, shooting anything that shoots back at you. But you'll see with their, you know, their old school pixel art and whatnot, it works pretty well. It gives you a good little story here, setting up this story of Sir Walter Raleigh and running off to the lost colony of Roanoke. I'm not going to leave it all for you to read, because, you know, I'm sure you can read that on your own, and you really don't want to sit here and watch me read screens. The controls are fairly tight, and it's pretty easy. You hold down the A button to shoot. It'll coach you along the way as well. It's pretty easy. The controls are really straightforward. So you have a secondary fire that you can hit for your bigger targets. You have a number of lives you can go through. You can see your life meter up on the right, and that is also your power meter for your upgrades. As always, I hit something there, that sucks. As always, it's a bullet hell to an extent, but we're on the normal setting for 1. So it's not too bad as of yet. But there is a lot to dodge. Again, I am not the greatest at these games. Vaunt is another option that they've added in here, which is a shield. So when you get caught in the bullet hell, you can get your way out of it with the aid of that. Now you have to unlock so much power to be able to do that. That's what your power meter up in the left hand's for, is for that Vaunt meter. You can see, as you see, there's some of these coins that drop. They look like cogs or gears. That is your power-up pickup. There we go. See, now we can drop a shield again. Whoops. And then every level has a boss at the end. Some are harder than others, obviously, as you would expect. This one is usually not too horrible, on normal especially. It's these moments that you'll see it gets closer to being a bullet hell shooter, and your Vaunt shield helps quite a bit. Now, I don't know if you can tell by watching me. One thing you will notice with this game, your hitbox on Mr. Raleigh there, pretty small. So sometimes it's, you'd swear you should be dead, and you're actually dodging things fairly easily. So that's, you know, one factor of this game. I really feel that Jamestown is kind of an easy mode introduction to your shmup genre. Because it's not really hard to progress through starting out, especially on the normal difficulties. A lot of shoot 'em ups are even hard on easy, but this one isn't too bad. And plus, with that narrow hitbox, it's pretty easy to dodge stuff, even when you think you should be going on. And now, every time you finish a chapter, it's going to spell out more story and whatnot. You can always skip those, which is nice, because it is good. I've played through it, though, and you're going to end up playing through all these levels a lot of times. As you can see, if we go into a section, you got different levels of difficulty. Normal, difficult, legendary, divine, just like any other game. The catch is, if you play through this in like the first 3 levels, I believe, you can play through those in normal. Once you get through with the Badlands, it's going to stop you until you cannot progress until you play through the previous 3 levels on difficult. You get through Badlands and you get to New Madrid, it's going to tell you the same thing except for legendary. And it keeps stepping you up, so it does coach you into bumping up your difficulty as you go, which is nice too, because shoot 'em ups, you're expected to play through levels a lot of times, and you know, play through things multiple times to get used to it, and you have to build the muscle memory and build up the skills to get through it and stuff like that. And this really pushes you through, and it pushes you to challenge yourself further with the higher difficulties, which is kind of nice. But it does that by getting you used to playing on those difficulties on the easier levels and keeps bumping you up, so that's kind of nice. We'll go ahead and jump up to the hardest here. I don't know how well this is going to go because it's been a while since I've played. We're going to try this next level on the next to highest on the divine level. So we'll take my charge ship again because that's my favorite. Ooh. And see, it's not going to go well, but that's okay. That guy sucks. Oh yeah, there's the bullet hell. See, that didn't last long, so, you know. Again, I am out of practice, so when I was playing this hot and heavy when I first got it, it was quite a bit different. Or I should say, I got a lot better at it at the time, but it's not carrying through now because I've lost that muscle memory, because I've been playing too much other stuff. Now, as you can see, I think there's enough here for fans of the genre, experienced fans of the genre, to find stuff to like. There's a lot of good mechanics going on for your shmups and whatnot, so it keeps the hardcore happy, but it's also not punishing to the newbie, which for me is a big deal. You can see a lot of the one of the things I love about this game is the backgrounds are great. Really good artwork going on here, and I'm really caught up in the story. The story is very steampunkish. Well, it's steampunkish without being annoying to an extent, mostly because you're flying on this wooden ship that's shooting laser beams on Mars. You know, that's as steampunk as it gets. So that's kind of nice. It feels very much like John Carter of Mars, which I'm a huge fan of, with that classic sci-fi feel and whatnot. So this game has a couple different modes. You have bonus levels, which are just going in challenge modes, essentially just to build up different, and build up cash and stuff like that for upgrades. You can go back here. You have all your different missions. You have leaderboards. You have a shop where you can unlock different types. This is where you can earn the money to spend the money to earn your different ships. You can unlock different challenge packs and everything else. So there's even a couple different modes. There's a hardcore mode and whatnot. There is DLC out for it, which I haven't picked up. The Jamestown DLC, Gunpowder, Treason, and Plot adds an extra mission or two, I believe, and a couple more ships. This game came out actually a couple years ago. It came out in 2011, and it's from, let's see here. I had all this pulled up, and of course now I can't find it. It's from Final Form Games, which you can find at finalform.com. This is the only game they've put out, but they have started, if you look at their blog, started developing the next game, but they haven't really given any details about it. This game's actually available on Windows, Mac, and Linux, all three of them, and you can get it on Steam. You can get it on Gamersgate as well, and it's been out there for a while, so you can find it for cheap, for a bargain. I got this during the summer sale for dirt cheap, like under $5, and you can find it on sale quite a bit. So it's definitely, if shoot 'em ups are your thing, this fits in really good. And again, if it's a genre that you've always been curious about but sucked at, this is one that really steps you up in a good way, so it's good to get into. If it's one that you're an expert at and you've been playing for years and years and years, I think you can still find something to enjoy here. So it's not bad. We'll leave it at that. So again, I'm Casey, also known as Cinema Fromage on Steam. If you like what you hear here, come visit me on my podcast at bloodygoodhorror.com for the Bloody Good Horror Podcast, or you can visit me at 1951downplace.com if Hammer movies are your thing, for the 1951 Downplace Podcast. I am on Steam as Cinema Fromage, as I said. That's all one word. Or you can find me on Twitter at CaseyBGH. Until next time, we will leave you there with Jamestown, the Lost Colony. And perhaps the next time we'll even have a name for this thing. But I make no promises because I'm just not getting there. I'm having too much fun playing games.